FaZe versus NIP, Brazil versus Brazil. Regional rivals, they've played each other dozens of times, but this time it's at a major, and the stakes are higher than ever. Both teams coming off strong wins, FaZe defeating SSG in a barn burner last night, and NIP stomping Virtus Pro. But who will be victorious today? I'm Jackie Jing with Fresh and Jesse, and these teams very well acquainted with each other, both legacy teams from Brazil, and Jesse, the coach has got a little history.
Absolutely, Jackie. Obviously, being Brazil, this is a rematch of the qualifying game that got FaZe to this major, and of course, NIP came through a little bit later on, but you're absolutely right. The coaches have so much experience as we saw FaZe lose their coach at the start of this stage. G2 came by and they went,
That was kind of my fault somehow.
what?
Well, I took Fabian.
Okay, you're right.
G2 took Ronaldo.
Okay.
Stop.
There we go.
And what we end up is with FaZe Clan needing a new coach. They go for Rafadel, their new coach, jumping in this stage, and he's been somebody who has worked very closely with Ninjas in Pyjamas and with Chubbs in the past. He has been the analyst alongside Chubbs through the last like 3-ish years. Way back on Furia, he was helping out. He was the analyst for the team at Team 1 when they won the Mexico Major. He was the analyst for them last year on Double O Nation as well, and he was helping out with NIP a little bit throughout stage 1 as well as their analyst. But I had a conversation with Chubbs about this kind of rivalry, with him going up against his own analyst, and they talked about how he really believes that Rafadel is experienced enough as a coach to lead a team, to be the main person in charge. And when the opportunity came up for FaZe Clan, when they came knocking, they were sad to see him go, but they thought it's finally his chance. He deserves this opportunity.
Friendship and a little rivalry as well. We'd love
bit.
to hear that in Siege. I want to talk about NIP a little bit. So, frankly, stomping VP, I think that was kind of shocking. We had a lot of doubters, some of us included in that.
Yeah.
But what was interesting was Pino told me in the interview that the Crest match was actually one of the hardest in his life. I had to double check that. Hardest in his life. What's your reaction to that?
I think that just shows how Asia Pacific generally has turned up at this tournament.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't get through, they've been giving people hell of a good games. And I think NIP like to make it hard for themselves at times. And I think a lot of people like to doubt NIP on the back of it. There was quite a few people who, saw NIP VP as a very close game, and there was a lot of people who thought that it would be a whitewash to VP yesterday, and obviously NIP ended up winning out. They're a very smart team, and if you cast your mind back all the way to Copenhagen, they kind of started like this in Copenhagen, where they struggled through groups and they get into the Swiss stage and they evolve through the tournament. So was I surprised to see NIP beat VP yesterday? No, but I can certainly see why people thought VP would come out of the gates quick.
Yeah. I think that NIP, a lot of people are doubting the squad just because they did have a bit of a rough play-in stage. They did play some rough games. But all in all, these are two really top teams, VP, yes. FaZe, and NIP. And so it's not a surprise to me that we did get that upset. NIP, they're very competent.
Okay, and I believe that you have a clip for us. And I know yesterday when we were talking with the team, they were saying that they wanted to see some improvements on defense. What do you think they're really going to be focusing on today?
In terms of the clip that I've got.
Well,
I'm just going
to tell us what's
the
happening.
Clip should be FaZe. Yeah, here it is. So the clip for FaZe, and now what I want to talk about is FaZe, is how they create phantom pressure.
Okay.
And how they can understand and adapt to their opponent's playstyle. So this is on Nighthaven. This is a basement defense. I know we're showing a lot of the top floor, but one thing that they do is they create the phantom pressure. They open walls upstairs. You saw the Buck, you're now seeing the Finker. Now, when those walls are created upstairs, that engages the defenders upstairs. But FaZe have got an instantaneous reaction, and I'm saying instantaneous. As soon as those walls are open, right, we now hit site. And you can see this is the Ram that's hitting site. This is Souls. So their original plan was to go above. But however, they've spotted the opportunity, they've spotted that gap, they've had a great read into their opponent. Souls walks in, gets a kill. Vita King manages to get the plant down, and then Handy takes an opportunity to lurk his way in the midst of the chaos and hold a long angle onto a plant spot. And this is what I think FaZe's biggest strength is as a team, is having the read into their opponent and understanding instantly and communicating that instantly of how to adapt and beat that setup. And it's all on the fly. This was not predetermined, because you can see by the operator lineup that they were expected to clear top floor and then breach. Predetermined. goes out the window once they see something, and bam, they've hit sight and they've won the round. And that's one of their biggest strengths.
Yeah, I think FaZe are an extremely scary team on attack. You know, the way that they get in, they had a 100% conversion rate against Dark Zero yesterday on their opening picks. They can be very, very explosive when they act, but they also are all over the place. They really do create that phantom pressure. I think it's a great point that you made. They're a very top team for sure.
So strong on attack, but then defense again. Do you think that that's a concern for them, or you're like, nah, they got that in the bag?
I think FaZe are the real deal. I think they proved that through Brazil. And I do like what they've got going. They seem to understand every way of playing Siege. They understand how teams are going to play against them when they're playing very default. They understand how teams are going to play them when they're playing very split. And they understand when teams might try to rush or do something a little bit funky. And they seem to have an instantaneous answer and understanding of it. And it makes them all round a very solid team. Where, you see some other teams where when they're presented with a problem where it's quite different, they can't overcome it. FaZe don't have that problem, and that's what makes them a strong team.
Yeah, I picked FaZe to go 3-0 in this group, right? We had the predictions at the start, or in the Swiss stage in general.
How are you doing with that?
I'm doing pretty good. FaZe are doing well. All right, D+, yeah, overcame. But listen, I think FaZe are a very strong team.
Yeah.
I think going up against a team that they're so familiar with here, what we saw in Europe where when these two teams went up against each other, Virtus Pro, we had Wolves going up against each other earlier. That familiarity really favored the better team, the team that has historically done better in the region. I think we're going to see something similar, right? FaZe Clan have historically been a stronger, more consistent team than FaZe or than NIP, and I think we're going to see these two teams again go into somewhere where they're familiar, and I think FaZe Clan, they will have the edge here.
Okay, gentlemen, I believe that we are ready to move into the map ban, and we're working to get that information up on the screen right now. Thoughts?
So, Skyscraper is expected. We expected, one of two maps. We thought it might be Cafe or Skyscraper. You see it go very late on into the map veto. It's in when you get teams that have very high preference, and two maps are both in the team's high preference, it's very likely that you will end up going there.
Yeah, Cafe was kind of the real big question mark because it's the map that NIP are 10-1 on throughout the season. They're extremely good. That one loss, though, was against FaZe Clan. It was earlier this stage, an 8-7 close game. I asked Chubbs this morning, are we going to see it again? We get the rematch? And he said, who knows? No.
All right. Well, I believe that we're very close to getting this started. The countdown, 10 seconds, 7, 6, 5. I'll let you all do the rest, but let's hand it over to Dez and Ace. No rhymes this time, okay, gentlemen? No rhymes. I messed up. I didn't rhyme last time. Anyway.
But you did rhyme this time, Jackie.
You just actually did a rhyme,
no
though,
rhymes
Jackie.
this time. Honestly, I give up. We love you, Jackie.
You are a walking red flag, Jackie. I tell you that much. We've got a great game coming up. Skyscraper, one of my favourite maps until Nighthaven came along. Sorry, Skyscraper. But it's still a wonderful map to watch as well, Tim. We've seen some...
I enjoy Skyscraper.
I do. It's one of my top 3 maps. Still really, really enjoy casting it. Still really enjoy seeing teams playing. And I feel like a LATAM showdown on this map, little bit of a dream. Can't wait to see how the region approached it as well. Truthfully, haven't seen too much of LATAM on this map. Well, I guess Brazil are more specifically now that we're a 9-region esports is the way of looking at it. The chat very split, Tim. Basically 50-50, but most leaning in towards FaZe, and I guess understandable on the up and down form that we've seen out of NIP so far.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. We're going to get things kicked off with our operator bands coming in, and he said, I'll tell you what I have enjoyed at this major. I've commented on one source. We've had quite a few different bands, particularly in the attackers. We've seen Capite, we've seen Bandit bands. I know he's not an attacker, but we've seen Bandit bands, we've seen Thermite bands, we've seen, different stuff creeping in as well. Aside from Dokubi's rate has gone through the roof, but then...
the KB and Ying, I think, have been our most two popular bands.
But there you go. Ying probably followed by Dokubi. But generally speaking, I've really enjoyed it because we went through a big period of time where you came into the band phase and you could, with probably 80-90% accuracy, we could pick who the bands were going to be. Monty is another one that's crept in a couple of times. It's been interesting stuff.
And on the defensive side, we had like an 18-month window of only ever seeing like the trifecta of bands. It was like Mira, Maestro, Valkyrie. They were the only. In fact, no, it was Echo. Sorry, in the mix with that one. You just see them band out all the time, and it was like, okay, which two of the three is it going to be this time round? Can't wait. Whereas at least now you do tend to see a little bit more diversity in the bands. Zami taken away. My question is, as always, will Solus be let through here? Quite frustrating. Again, you don't always see the immediate impact of the Solus, but in the later round, my God, do you feel the lack of those drones? Fourth and final ban is going to be the Valkyrie, taken away by NIP.
Yeah, so once again, I think, you know, pretty much as I touched on earlier, with the Soulless, teams will ban them out sometimes, but I think just much prefer to have them available to use rather than trying to deal with them, although not getting picked in the initial operator lineup for the defenders of NIP. They will kick us off with an office and exhibition defense, so it tends to be one of the top 2 floor sites. It's Karaoke Tea, I think, does edge it a little bit as the favourite, but instead they're going to be heading over to that other side.
Indeed, they shall. Alrighty, let's get into this and see how the LATAM showdown goes here on Skyscraper. As I said, starting out on that east side of the map. Does mean you're going to see an extension of some kind up towards Shrine and out towards the west hand, west hand, that's not really a thing, the west side of the map. And that'll be the goal is to try and slow down FaZe on their push in. No doubt they will start looking in towards Geisha, for example, coming through Shrine. There'll be some pressure in towards Terrace and around Dragon itself, and probably even a little bit through the display window around site itself. But the main focus for NIP, again, is running that clock down and seeing FaZe really stall out. Not that I think they'll be able to do that, as really between these two teams, NIP are that slobber team. You see this sometimes as well, the bar as well being got down. We've seen it a couple of times historically.
Yeah, it just, I think, gives a little bit of a signal for the defenders. Obviously, they're aware then if anybody's getting particularly close.
It's someone sort of punches it, the sound effect is there, and it's like, well, if I swing on you now, where can you go? And the answer is nowhere.
No, absolutely.
You can lie down, and that is about it. You are guaranteed dead if they get the chance. So you'll see some teams burn things like frag grenades just to clear that barbed wire away.
Cyber just going to take out the default cam, nothing more than that, before he heads up to the upper balcony just outside of Shrine, drawn immediately into a mute jammer. Going to be hoping probably that it landed just outside of the door and not inside, otherwise that one might be lost. Handy instead will be checking out Meeting before potentially going in, just going to open the wall into Geisha as well. I think they've recognised that there's a little bit of utility and attention being applied over there. Souls is going to open the external wall as well, so good early progress here from FaZe, looking to get themselves established inside of the map. Wizard on the Frost though, playing inside a drum, has the holes open as on the right as we see there, looking through into Geisha, so not going to be an easy push in for FaZe.
I think the X-Car coming in onto the Geisha box was just to scare everyone away that's playing there. Same reason where you can't play Shaiko on Oregon Basement, for example, just north of E-Box in the basement, is once that wall is opened up, suddenly it becomes extremely dangerous to play it. There are angles onto you from the window, players from Geisha can come and challenge you. It's just not a safe place to be. So it has ensured that, at least for now, the west side is in control of FaZe. That said, there is still one player inside Karaoke and T and one around Drum as well. So don't count them out just yet. That mute's in there and he's got a shotgun to swing coming on through. Cyber just very comfortably collects that one.
Yep, picks up cons. Psycho is there for the trade though, so 4 versus 4 now. As NIP still holding the line here for the time being. They haven't let FaZe get themselves established anywhere beyond Geisha, and that's going to be an easy pickup for Wizard as well, despite the phone call coming in from the Dokkaebi. He's going looking for more. Not too worried about stopping that phone ringing whatsoever. At the end of the day, they know where Wizard is. He's confident in the backup he's got from Pino and holds on to that position. Well played, NIP.
This now looks a bit strange because Vita King is out here entirely by himself and he's the one with the diffuser. The other two members of of FaZe are off elsewhere by the looks of it. So Vita King has got to do this basically all alone to bring the diffuser in with 30 seconds on the clock. He really needs backing up, and sure enough, now you can see Handy joining him up towards Shrine Balcony. You've got the Thermite of Soul stepping in back where we just saw Vita King push through a couple of seconds ago. But it's still looking a bit ropey. There are 20 seconds left and they haven't yet got out of Karaoke and T-side.
No, Wizard, I think knew that Vita King was pushing through that side, but didn't know exactly where. But as you say, it doesn't really matter too much. 15 seconds left to go. Wizard's job was more than done, holding onto that position. Handy just able to find the angle onto the Dreadmine, but every couple of seconds in order to take utility out like that is going to add up. Psycho's going to have a field day here as they move around the corner. Manages to get one. There's a second if he goes for it, but he won't need to. The time runs out, and that's going to be NIP taking the first round.
Extremely slow really from FaZe there. I mentioned that it's normally NIP you see associated with slowness in the LATAM region, but FaZe there just didn't really look to get a whole lot done. As mentioned, once we had the initial kind of first minute and a half pass by, it was just Vita King by himself hanging out towards that west side of the top floor. And it took another 20 seconds to 30 seconds or so for the last two players in Souls and Handy to rejoin him, which really indicates that at about that 90-second mark, there was no doubt a call from the team to regroup on the west side of the map after they'd lost a couple of players on that side. But really by then, it was just too little, too late. Still had so much to clear around Terrace, around Dragon, for example, and you saw them paying the price in the dying seconds of the round.
FaZe, of course, had a tough game yesterday against Dark Zero, the only game of the day that went to overtime. And, you know, that could take its toll, of course. It means it was a later night for them than anybody else. It wasn't exceedingly late, but still, you know, by the time you've got packed up, got yourself back, it reduces the amount of time that you can prepare for today's match. NIP notoriously good at those sort of quick turnarounds and rapid preparation. So it could be a tough prospect for them today. NIP starting off well. Going to head across then to the other side. It's going to be Karaoke and T for them. So they're going to try for more of the same, I would imagine, just in reverse, essentially. They just want a mirror image of what they had last time, which is going to be holding on to Shrine, holding on to Drum, and just preventing that movement across the top floor.
And probably a wider extension out towards Exhibition Office as well. It's having a couple of players in VIP and Exhibition just looking to challenge onto the soft wall that leads out towards the balcony on the south side, at least to begin with, just to put a bit of pressure onto the attack inside. And it's about these layered defenses that you fall back through as you lose the kind of like most weakly defended outer line. You have a mid line you fall back to, it's a bit more stacked up, then you're falling back in towards site, it's quite heavily stacked up. That's the sort of thing you're looking for here. And again, given how FaZe completely ran out of time in the previous round, for NIP, I would just keep on playing that playstyle at this point.
Muzi going to be the one out in that extension. Going to drop back now. 50 seconds done. Obviously deciding no more is required. Going to play up behind the shield. As you say, drop backs to that second line. Plenty of Womai magnets out there as well to protect that shield. It's going to take at least 3 pieces of utility plus the nade that would try to remove the shield. So they need to definitely think about that defense.
A couple of C4s to play behind. Impacts on side as well. The clash, you know, with Fenrir. Lots of denial that they can sit behind here. So again, this is why you've got this extended hold going on, was really to burn that clock down, force FaZe into the final 30 seconds where they've got to push forward aggressively without really too much consideration behind the push itself. And I just feel that could well be the end of the round if they don't get this move on pretty soon. A good nade almost catches out Wizard, put down to just 5 HP, if not a little bit less.
KDS just trying for that vertical nade, not going to have any joy. Actually puts it back in pocket, which did him a favour. We can see from the silhouettes above that there was nobody there. Cyber involved in the opening battle once again, but this time will come away with the kill, taking down Muzi, and importantly, Des clearing out Shrine. It gives them the opportunity to work up and get in behind this clash. It could be dangerous times for Pino if he tries to move back too far.
He's got to be really careful, because if he backs into Cyber at the wrong angle, he's going to die. And I think he knows it's here like he's doing now, but this really is where you want the call to come in for Handy, to be pushing him from the other side and shooting the clash in the back. So you can't look both ways at once, but that's why there was a great response from Psycho to get the shutdown on the other side, to free the clash up, to keep on moving back. Overall, really, really smart stuff coming out from NIP on the hold, and Handy has got to make this work on the push on through. Sees the clash, and suddenly there's the Fenrir kicking in.
Pino being taken down by Souls, who manages to find 2 in quick succession, closes out the round, and FaZe, they level things up at 1-1.
Yeah, Geisha push just completely caught
it was much better from FaZe this time than last, particularly the kill onto Muzi as well from Cyber. You know, that was the sticking point really last time in the first round, was getting across the top of the map. They got themselves in, but were unable to ever really approach site. But with about a minute left on the clock, Cyber took out what could have been a difficult position behind the shield, behind the Womai magnets, everything that Muzi had going on for him. A bullet still found his head, and Cyber got the job done, and that really opened things up, because it, again, as we said at the time, it makes it difficult for the clash, it weakens other positions, and NIP were always sort of fighting on the back foot from that point.
You probably see it here in some of the outlines, but it was a real heavy push coming in from the east side of things for the attackers. And I think it's when NIP read a bit heavily into there, you over-indexed for it, and this is the position that Souls got into in Geisha box, and just got 2 of them basically shot in the back there, no real big contest coming through at all. So a bit too much attention being focused on drum side, and, well, they paid the price for it, 1-1.
10 seconds remaining.
Going to be moving on to Kitchen and Barbecue then, NIP, rather than going back to Office and Exhibition, which is available for them, but it's the site that they lost in the first round. So they're going to mix it up, do it a bit differently. The defense here will be largely the same, or at least similar to the one that we saw last round. They're still going to try to keep hold of Karaoke, Meeting, Geisha for the beginning of the round at least, prevent those verticals being used against them. You don't want to give up that superiority to the attackers. So for now, that's where the initial meetings will be, I think, as NIP will try to hold off.
Well, for sure. We saw a brilliant clutch around Barbecue Kitchen the other day from Lycolis. A wonderful 1v2 that he won out with the Kite sniper pistol, and a great C4 to close things out at the very end as well. One of my favourite moments of the competition that we've had so far. Can't imagine we'll be requiring a clutch of that caliber in this game, admittedly, given how proficient these two teams are across the board, nor do I expect rounds will necessarily come down to that sort of situation in the same spot again, but you never know. As we start things out, top floor, at this point, you know how this goes. Defending the downstairs, if you can't defend it laterally, you move upstairs and hold that area and look to play vertically. So it's not all that different to attacking in towards a karaoke and T defense here for the side of FaZe. It's why you've got things like these castle barricades on the upstairs, why you've got barbed wire around. No doubt why there are things like magnets and potentially Fenrir dread mines. You can see one above the door, also locked in place. So for FaZe, who again back in round one struggled a bit with the clock and we're starting to get towards that point in round two, there is a lot to get done in this round.
Yeah, there is. They're still moving across. Handy and Vitaking are still trying to push across the top floor from the exhibition office side. They haven't really got themselves established inside of Shrine yet. They're halfway through the round. And let's not forget, Karaoke and T are not the target. They're not the site. You've got to clear this out to then have that next step to do. So getting into Karaoke T and, having a minute left on the clock like they're going to do any second now is not really quick enough, because you're then going to have to go another step if you want to put that diffuser on the ground. And so for me, FaZe really need to speed up a bit here.
Do. Down to that last 60 now as well, and in a spot where at least some pressure is coming through, but no one really on the defensive side has been forced to get too, fall back to too defensive position right now. Sure, they've let go of the shield. Now they've lost gold bars, and Cyber's found another. That's the kind of opening they were looking for, but now they've got to start the march on forward. Psycho missing a couple of shots there that could have been absolutely massive. Challenge from both sides. Full white flash, and most definitely being taken out by Cyber, who's found his way inside of the site. Makes it a 3K for himself, and it's a flawless round coming in for the attack inside. Great stuff by FaZe. It looks a bit slow, but once they pull the trigger, as soon as someone finds that opening, in this case it was Cyber downstairs, the rest of the team just kicks into action off the back of it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I know I said I was a little bit concerned about how much time they had left. 60 seconds left to go. They still didn't have top floor control, didn't have a kill, didn't have anything else, and 10 seconds later they've won the round. And that was, pretty much the positioning was, lined up face to face with NIP. So they've done great there to get in and win those gunfights and turn it around so quickly. That must send a message to NIP here, really, that, they need to be very, very cautious about what sort of appears comfortable to them. Cyber just managing
Cyber's the problem.
Yeah, he is. How many times have we said that over the years? Cyber just being able to walk on into sight like that. NIP, I think, had taken their eyes off the ball. They were too concentrated on that top side, potentially. Think about the fact they've got the verticals upstairs. They could fight Cyber from there, but the rest of FaZe was keeping them busy up there. So just really smart play.
I think really it's the second of 3 rounds though for FaZe now that we have seen a player get backstabs in some form. It was Souls coming in through Geisha and then Geisha box in the prior round. In this one, it was Cyber working his way in downstairs. And whether it's a lack of attentiveness or they're just flat out losing these gunfights, because Cyber was down on half HP, they're still letting these backstabs really dictate what goes on, because these backstabs are removing the backline. Oddly enough, it's why it's called a backstab. Removing the backline out from the defensive side. So all they've got left are these players out in slightly more aggressive spots, like the Clash are in drum, or in that round, 2 or 3 players still hanging around up on the top floor as 2 or 3 players all push in towards them. Now, I've seen that Clash run out. This also brings me back to another memory. We used to see this back in APAC, I believe it was Sandbox used to do it all the time. Would just frustrate the living hell out of people, because you tried to get anywhere near the balcony, you'd get zapped out, you threw a nade, they'd just back away. Normally there'd be an ADS or 2 placed out here as well to support this. It can be infuriating to deal with as the attackers.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get an angle on, like you say, particularly if there's a little bit of protection from that throwable. It's not the case for the Clash here, but I don't think that's really going to matter too much. But certainly one to give a try if you've never done that one before. You can frustrate an awful lot of time out there, take an awful lot of attention away from the attackers. But FaZe, they're not going to take their eye off the ball here. They're straight in, they're underneath, they're going to work up house stairs and look to challenge from that angle instead.
Obviously, the big frustration with that Clash is you don't know if a second player is going to swing out behind them. There's no fresh notification of enemy defenders being outside the building. They'll just swing behind the shield and collect a kill quite comfortably. That's why you have to force them away. At this point, Pina, though, has gone searching for something else in life. Clearly a little bit bored with staring at a very bland grey balcony. He wants something a little bit more colourful, and has worked his way back in towards hallway here, dug inside, trying to find information on what's going on the window itself, looking in towards sights. And at this point, I think we're probably also starting to feel the pressure as we've got attacks from all angles starting to bubble in.
Cyber's going to come head-to-head around this corner, but he's just quicker. Cons getting taken down. Cyber's going for more. He's going to take out the Clash as well. Cyber is absolutely unstoppable so far today. Make that 4. This could be a real quick ace if he manages to find Muzi. He's hunting, he's searching, he's seeking. He secures the 4th. Can he find the last Des?
Where is Muzi?
I don't know.
Muzi's off towards Shrine, so he's working his way back across here. They don't really seem to know where he is right now, and Cyber could get shot in the back.
Gonna get
His turn for him. He's gone for it, but Muzi has denied him the ace. It's simply not going to happen. But in a 4 versus 1, I think it's pretty fair to say Cyber has done his job, Tim.
What a round from Cyber. What a game so far. If we have a quick look at his stats, 9 and 3 so far inside of effectively 4 rounds for him now. So going fantastically well. He's one of those players, once he gets going, you know, he's been like that for the longest time when he was on MIBR, when he's been on FaZe. If he just gets momentum, he's practically impossible to stop. He's an absolute nightmare. Muzi for the time being, I think, just looking for some stats here. He'll see whether he can get a kill or 2. He knows that the time is gone. He can't disable the diffusers anymore, so he's just playing for a little bit of target practice.
I think they all are at this point. A little bit of stat padding, but it's only Muzi to walk away with the 1 at the very end. I wouldn't quite call that one a backstab, but it was the flank coming from underneath by Cyber that again opened that round up. I mentioned that the Clash was starting to feel a little bit threatened, and I think once they realised that, hey, there's someone potentially playing on Karaoke Window, we've got the KB coming in through Shrine Balk, and there's someone coming up below. I need to take a firefight on one of those angles, just so happened to choose the one that Cyber was on, and not too many have come off too well against Cyber in this game so far. Really dragging his team through a couple of rounds that, although could very have easily been won anyway, he certainly made it far easier for FaZe.
Yeah, they need to find a way to deal with Cyber, is the top and bottom of it. It's difficult when Cyber's on the attack. It's always difficult to sort of target attackers, really. You know, when you move on to the defense, obviously, you know, you're going in against a team that you've done a lot of odd reviews on. You know roughly what the defensive setups are going to be. So you have a good idea where players are going to start or which operators they're going to use. So you can say, right, Cyber's having a great game. You know, years and years ago, in the sort of G2 heyday, we saw it done to Kanto, you know, absolutely relentlessly for a while after he came on to G2 and did you know, fantastically well. Teams would just go in 2 or 3 at a time, exactly you know where he was going to be playing, and they'd just swamp him and get the kill. And it's again something that, you know, maybe NIP will be able to pull out on the defense if this keeps happening and Cyber keeps himself going at the rate he is at the minute. But whilst he's on the attack, it's very difficult because you don't know where he's going to pop up. You don't know where he's going to move in from. I mean, at the minute, my guess would be Cyber's going to walk into sight. That'd be the place to start if I were NIP.
Pretty fair to assume he'll be behind you at any given time. It's like punching shadows sometimes. It's not always going to be able to catch them. Here we go, the side of things off. Actually being brought along with that respect piece. You know, some teams turning towards the impact EMPs and saying, nah, that'll be enough for us. And so often, time and time again, has it proven not to be. But the wall being blocked away by the Kaid, who almost gets caught out, actually, by the nade that just came flying on through. This time around, it will most certainly be disabled, and off should go the wall.
Yep, 50 seconds in, wall open. So FaZe can start that push across the side of the site, getting themselves into VIP if they wish. So it's again just that phantom pressure. They will look to no doubt clear off this second wall as well. Just having a look, they've got no more exothermics, but they do have the 3 Selma chargers. Wizard is playing right up against there. He's just gonna he's actually playing on a separate wall, trying to keep that safe. It's the mute jammer at the minute that's present, just to deny the double wall there. So we will see whether they manage to get that site wall open or not. But as long as it stays closed, then IP are feeling pretty comfortable, I think.
I think so. With a couple, well, 3 C4s, not even just a couple, but 3 C4s to play behind him. There's a lot to love, I think, in this setup coming out from NIP. Lots of denial. That is, of course, assuming, again, they don't get stabbed in the back by a member of FaZe just walking up a set of stairs somewhere or somehow managing to work their way into the middle of sight. For the most part, FaZe still focusing by the looks of it, though. At least for 3 of them, out towards the west side. A couple of them, though, are gathered up around display, around VIP, and are just waiting for the call more than anything else to say, now it's go time, go and make it happen.
Wizard just waiting for that push that he thinks might come through drum door, but isn't going to at the time being. As you say, Cyber just working underneath. Whether he's going to push up house stairs or come to try and challenge from behind, we will see. KDS manages to get one, Handy another, and yet again it's another round that's going in the favour of FaZe. 45 seconds left to go, and it feels like they've pushed that go button again, Des. They're pushing in, they're finding kills. Handy manages to get Muzi. There's a couple for NIP, but it's not going to be enough because knock, guess who's there? It's Cyber again, taken down by Wizard this time, but the Bandit has got a lot to do, leaves himself exposed to KDS, who picks up the final kill, and FaZe are starting to run away with things.
It reminds me a little bit of old Wolves, and that sounds weird to say, but Wolves used to have a thing on Clubhouse, especially when attacking in towards gym and bedroom, and even executing in towards the basement sometimes, where there'd be this very obvious 3, 2, 1 countdown, and then everybody starts moving. And you saw that there, really, when the first 2 kills came through, immediately Cyber is up through house stairs, is in through VIP, is joined by someone behind him to play for trades as well, and they were pushing so aggressively in towards exhibition. And what that's really doing is soaking the attention of any players that are on the north side of those 2 sites, drawing them to look north rather than towards the south where the initial push started off. And so you've got a team in NIP then being pulled upwards, downwards, left, right, seemingly everywhere, really being stretched there. Comms are no doubt getting really stressful as well because everyone's calling out different things at different parts of the map all at the same time. And it's a really good overwhelm tactic that FaZe are employing here. And so far, it's got them 4 rounds on the attack of Skyscraper. That's not an easy feat.
Not at all. You've got to really worry for NIP at this point, to be honest. You know, get FaZe onto the defence, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle because not only are they just on top of things, they're just hitting shots at the minute. The Brazilian teams, W7M, we saw it against SSG in the last game as well. Certainly on point today when it comes to the aim, and just showing why they've got some of those, you know, some of the most sort of high-skill players in the world, really. As many of the teams at the major do here, but boy, oh boy, are the Brazilians putting it on show today.
Frustrating, no doubt, as well, because Wizard just walked to 3K in that round. I didn't really clock in all the madness of it, but he did indeed find himself a triple kill. Just one of those ones where it's kind of a meaningless kill, as they call them, where it's a case of you've got the kill, sure, but your team still lost the round, and it was more just kind of the show than anything else. Potentially could have brought it back for his team, but at the end of the day, those kills are worth nothing, unfortunately, outside of some stats for him on CGG. On we go, they're up 4-on-1 for FaZe, and NIP, they need something here, Tim. I feel like you cannot be going into the attacking side of this map, knowing that NIP can be quite a slow team sometimes, down 5-1.
Well, the problem with 5-1 is that FaZe only need to find one site that they can defend. You know, they can lose every other site that they go to. They can win that single site 2 times over, and that's it, they've won the matchup. Sure, they don't want it to go to 7-5, but they're not really going to care. At the end of the day, if they get the win and go on to 2-0 in the Swiss, that's all they're going to be interested in, because one more win tomorrow would see them then going through, and they also get that additional chance. Anybody on 2-0 at the end of today gets 2 chances to get that final best of 1 win that they need. So there's a lot at stake here, particularly. So NIP really needing to hold on to this final defensive opportunity, I'd say.
He was fishing out Psycho from below there, which is why he's now got himself up on the display case. A fine piece himself, but in a spot where he doesn't want to get caught by any more of those nades, so already being restricted from below, from to the south, to the north, to the cubicles coming on through. NIP really starting to feel the squeeze already, Tim.
Yeah, exactly that. The breach is open. Muzi keeps fighting here inside of Exhibition. Needs to be careful if he peeks around that corner. He might just lose his head. This has been the problem. NIP have sort of been in the right places for defending, but they've just lost the gunfights. He hears the barbed wire going on the stairs, though. Pino finds Cyber. Going to be a big kill. Can Muzi double up and get a second? It's KDS at the bottom of the stairs. They know that he's there. Is he going to get the opportunity for the fight? He has to drop away. He's challenged from both sides. Muzi manages to get Handy. Muzi manages to get KDS 5 versus 2, and this is the best that NIP have looked so far.
Really just dug in on site here as well, 3 of them with a couple playing off-site, really in support on the other side of the map, just to keep, again, FaZe divided and chasing 2 ends of the same stick, it felt like. Not quite over just yet. It's been a king with the 1. Still 4 more to find, and I can't imagine that he will. He surely will not. Wizard with that closeout. So finally, even though he got that 3K in the previous round, rewarded in this round with the closing kill. It's going to be 4-2 to FaZe at the half.
Yeah, much better finish for NIP there. You know, perfectly timed to have a decent round performance to push them into that second half. FaZe going to be moving on to the defense. Cyber certainly one to watch. You know, we quite often see that players will have a good half on a certain side. So, you know, they might come in and have a good attack and then just completely go quiet on defence, or vice versa. We'll see whether that happens for Cyber. The games where players have a 20-kill game or more, you know, they're rare because they've got to put that performance in on both sides of the half. So going to kick things off. FaZe on defence. It's going to be Exhibition and Office. We'll just have a look at the casual double from Muzi there, as he managed to get one in Exhibition and then one over the stairs. He'd been waiting the longest time for that KDS kill as well, and IP showing good patience.
Hopefully we see that build something in the second half. Again, I always say it, Tim, 2 halves to a game of Siege. I want to see what NIP do on their attacking side here for the first couple of rounds, just to see if this is going to be competitive or if maybe FaZe just really run away with things on the defensive half. Spicy first pick coming out there. Tim cannot ignore the lovely bright green icon in the bottom left corner of your screen. It's Cyber running around on the Caveira. On the other side, though, you've also got the Amaru. So 2 spicy operators being picked up in round 1.
Yeah, Cyber's certainly feeling it. He's going to keep himself off the radar, or attempt to, inside of the bathtub. Will likely come out once the round gets underway. It's 20 seconds in, but give him another 10, 20 seconds, and I think we'll see him. He's waiting for this. He's waiting for Muzi to try and push in through the little closet window there, I think, but I'm not sure he's going to get any joy with it. KDS is trying to keep those drones away from his Caveira. You've got to ask the question, do they know of Cyber's existence yet or not?
You'd surely hope not. I mean, now drones will probably be chasing him up. You can see there's still one more down there. And you can kind of see how it increases the proficiency of the Caveira, and you can really give a notice as to whether or not she's been spotted. And as you say, that really is what KDS is looking to do here.
Pino going to be getting back onto the drones. It just looks like NIP, we've mentioned, you know, the speed of NIP's attacks being a little bit limited sometimes. Opening kill is going to be found by FaZe, 5 versus 4, and NIP still sort of outside of things at the minute. Cons does not want to go and collect that diffuser because he knows where the kill has come from. It's not a kill, actually. It's going to be a drop out of the server. I think, as you say, we're going to get a rehouse. It did baffle me for a second as to why there was nobody on the kill feed, but there we go.
It's like a rehost coming into me, so we'll get that one sorted and get back into things as soon as possible. Keep you guys in the loop as we hear more. Didn't really get a chance to see too much because it was all about really the Caveira there and seeing what she was going to be able to achieve, but maybe it's the fact that FaZe just, more that NIP saw that there was a cav and we're just like, we don't want to play this round anymore. Get us out. We're done.
They've had enough. We don't want to go face to face with that. We're not going in through closet window while Cyber's on the cav.
No, that's what many of us feel really going into a ranked game when we find this Caveira on the other side.
Any ranked game.
It's like one of them, like, their Caveira and your Caveira are 2 very different things.
Completely different things.
Your Caveira is, I'm going to go up to a window and try and shoot someone to spawn people
with a shotgun.
Pistol. Yes.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, it's a sneakiest bugger in the world, kills all 4 of you.
5 interrogations.
Interrogates the last one. You're just like, yeah, brilliant. Thanks, nice. Love this.
We'll get you back in as soon as we can. Quick technical pause then, whilst we just sort out whatever that issue was. 4-2 at the half then for FaZe. In all honesty, I think NIP can count themselves a little bit lucky there that it's not 5-1, to be honest, because FaZe were certainly the more dominant of the 2 teams in that matchup so far. So coming away with 2 rounds, not a bad effort from NIP, but they're going to have to definitely get on top of FaZe a little bit more. I think the problem is FaZe having a little bit too much time on the attack, you know, a little bit too much freedom for players like Cyber.
I think that's it. I mean, again, this attacking side we haven't really had a chance to see too much of, but we'll do want to get back into 2 or 3 more rounds of it. Imagine there's some deliberation going on at the minute around at what point in the round that disconnect came on through. We'll obviously give you more as we hear more about it. For now, we are as blind as you are.
Yeah, as soon as we know, you will too. But as soon as we can do as well, I'm sure these players will get themselves back in. But, you know, what a day that we've had so far, Des. We've had some absolutely cracking Siege. We've had some surprise results again. I think it's, you know, it's GK definitely worth a mention at this point.
God, yeah.
You know, coming in 2-0. I thought about it this morning. I thought, at what point, because there always comes a point where you've got to stop saying it's an upset. There always comes a point where you've got to stop saying it's a surprise. And I'm sort of feeling like GK have maybe reached that point now. Their expectation levels are starting to go up.
Well, nothing is locked in, but I'm pretty sure there is a very, very high probability outside. Like the stars have to align with other results. They'll be playing G2 tomorrow.
Could be.
Imagine GK versus G2 would be one hell of a game.
Honestly, I think it'd be, from what we've seen performance-wise, it's 2 of the best teams that we've had at the Atlanta Major so far coming together. So yeah, it'll definitely be an enjoyable one. But yeah, it's
production. We're all good. We're just waiting for it to get back into lobby, as said. We'll get that sorted real soon.
Yeah, as I say, you know, GK coming along, and you just think there comes a point where you have to stop saying that it's a surprise. You've got to stop.
Yeah. I mean, really being honest, I think part of a surprise coming into the competition has been GT themselves. I think many, again, with the way they had to battle their way back in, we were a little bit like, are we really going to see them deliver to the way that we thought they would? Well, they did back at SI, for example. Had a couple of roster changes, for example. Obviously, Uno in now. Stage play wasn't the absolute best for them. It's one of those. And so far, they've been, probably for my money, the best team at the competition.
Yeah. They've been very, very good so far. The thing is, when teams come in and are sort of very good from the beginning, I said this the other day, I'm not, you know, wishing it on anybody, but inevitably, it is at least very, very rare that teams go for the entire tournament, just win every single game without a blip, no problems. And so I kind of put G2 in that bracket at the minute. There's always one or two teams for me that fall into that bracket, and I look and I think, oh, you haven't had a blip yet. You know, is it going to come? Is it going to come at an inopportune moment? You know, is it going to be a problem?
In a funny way, it's like it's not a running joke, but it's a running conversation I seem to have with Leland at most events, coach of Wolves that is, and she's always like, Des, when are you going to start supporting us? And I'm always like, you know, when you guys start consistently winning? Because they're one of those teams that get to like a knockout stage, they'll come to quarters, and they will just fall off the face of the earth. So honestly, I think they're big braining it. If they play like crap early on, they'll absolutely fly later and win the whole thing.
Honestly, that's what NRP have done a couple of times over the years.
Exactly, mate.
Just hit form at the right time.
It's a tactic.
It's so important. You don't want to burn yourself out and waste those good results. We just a minute ago saw Cyber giving us the ice-cold stare that he's been giving NIP so far. I certainly wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that in the server, put it that way.
Not quite sure what's going on the NIP side there. Just like rubbing things around in circles. Like, yeah, I'm
pretending
I'm still in game. Just rubbing it around as if
maybe it's
mouse.
another picture of a fish.
So we are going to throw out to a quick break. Back in about a minute or so. See you in a second.
Hello, I'm Dominic Clement, game designer on Rainbow Six Siege. The next season is right around the corner. And if you don't get the latest operator on release, you might still want to review your ABCs on some of the operators already available today in the game. The Electric Bandit, the Wisecade, and the Quiet Mute will be welcoming a new troublemaker into their ranks, ready to give breachers a few headaches. Working out your pulse and soleus muscles will ensure you'll be able to provide invaluable intel to this new operator. And let's not forget about Ella, Fenrir, and our other trap operators who each bring a unique ingredient that can be used in crafting some really crazy strategies with this new operator. So jump into the game and review your basics with these operators, so you'll be ready to synergize with the new operator when it comes out next season. See you then.
Hello. Literal deep freeze. Get it? We are coming back into game in just a second. Now, to give you the update, the game is going to resume at 5 and 2. So, as you would have seen before the break, we were at 4 and 2. But because the players left the lobby without permission, they have then forfeited the round. So, we come back in at a 5 and 2 scoreline. Goes to show, don't leave without permission. That's the rule in competitive. So, at 5 and 2, there is still a lot of work ready to do here to keep on racing on through for NIP. Up that uphill slope now suddenly gets that little bit steeper. It's a bigger challenge to fight their way through. We'll see if they can do it once we get back into game, hopefully in a minute or two.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, it's...
You know what I've realised?
FaZe...
I kicked my box away. You kept yours. Which is why, for the first time ever, Tim is taller than me. This never happens.
Loving life. This has been the best bit of the tournament for me.
Piss off.
I didn't know what it felt like, to be honest.
You know what? Let's drag my box back.
I had absolutely no idea.
Enjoying life up there. The thing that's what I should have said to you then. How's the weather up there, Tim?
Never been asked that in my life.
Just said to Jackie like every single day, I don't do it enough.
I think if you never do it, I think you are doing it enough.
Nah. I've got to do it at least once because it's the most cliche thing in the world to do.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's why it's funny. And that's why you've got to do it. We shall do at some point. As you can see, players almost ready to get back into things. I imagine a bit of deliberation about the 5-2 thing, but it is what it is. That's the rules. Or them the rules. You can read it in the rule book if you so insist. So we'll get back underway with Skyscraper in just a moment. Sorry for the delay, and thanks for sticking with us for what has turned into a little bit of a silly, typical Des and Ace major podcast. It happens. We did have the 30-minute
It's not a major
one.
without, to be fair.
Yeah, it does need it at some point. We had the 30-minute one back in Mexico with Jackie. That was chaos. That was saucepans on our heads and all sorts.
That was with no saucepans to hand, unfortunately, or obviously it could have happened. Yeah, that was an interesting one.
We were talking about like glue and ladders and DIY and all sorts. It was just one of them. So bizarre. That B stream was unhinged. It was. That's the only way I can describe it. That was also the tournament we had the craziness of needing the eventual champions Team 1 when Alamo was back on that team, needing to win a 7-2 on Consulate, old Consulate this was as well, against CAG, to then have to go and face them in a tie-break game on Chalet, which they then went on to win 7-4.
Absolute classic.
But it was just
2:30 in the morning for us.
Oh, 2:30 in the morning. It was absolute bonkers. They had to get a 7-2. And that was after Anderton hit that mad drop shot on the Monty. Yep. And Monty players around the world, even pros, looked at that like, wait, you can do that?
What?
The man's got some mad tech. Just one of those players, absolutely bonkers. Well, I have just had another update. We're going to go out to a quick break while we get this fully resolved. Sorry about the wait, guys. Back with you in just a few.
Hi, I'm Joshua Mills, and this is Siege Intels. Grenades. You love them, I love them, but why are they so heavily restricted on operators' loadouts? Their power, as well as the ability to cook them, have progressively made this secondary gadget the reason to choose an operator. In an effort to curb this powerhouse of utility and destruction, we have slowly over time removed grenades from our operator loadouts. We don't like that. If there's a tool in the game, you should have access to it. We are currently reworking their system to bring them in line with the other secondary gadgets in the game. Now connect to the reveal panel to see what this change entails.
Hey guys, it's Gio from Sonics, and welcome to my fresh install. For diffuser, I have manual because I play support, so I gotta make sure I have the bomb at all times or I'm able to drop it inside the site. For drone prep, also manual. You also wanna sit on your entries drones as long as possible, especially if they're up. HUD, I actually just keep everything the same. Doesn't really change much. Audio, everything on super high. I play night mode, surprisingly. I don't know, a lot of people don't play like that, but I like it. Basically for display, we go to as many hertz as you can. We go to 4.3, but that's all preference. I like 4.384 for me. 4.384, and then at the bottom, I personally do 95 HUD display area, and then 94 menu display area, with a brightness of 61, I think it was, some odd number like that. Graphics, I have a pretty bad PC at home, so everything's on super low. We go low, we go LOD quality high, shading quality low, shadow quality, pretty sure that's very high so you can see the shadows when they peek you. Reflection quality low, VFX low, ambient occlusion low, anti-aliasing off. That's basically it for graphics. Make sure you always press apply so you have your settings saved. Control is the important part. I would say raw input off, mouse inversion obviously disabled, then sense is obviously up to you, but I play 1010, 400. You can mess with the magnification, obviously. I play with, let me see if it lets me. Thing 1x is 28, 1x 28, 1.5, 55, 56, and then 57. Mouse scroll wheel, I have it off because I grip the mouse kind of weird. Gadget deployment, advanced, drone deployment, advanced. I think those are really important to have on. Aim on hold, lean actually on hold as well because I lean with my mouse buttons. Sprint, hold, crouch, toggle, prone toggle, and then walk toggle. For the keybinds, I actually have some kind of crazy keybinds. I lean with my mouse buttons, so this would be just have the mouse buttons, and then gadget is Q and E is melee. So That's kind of it. For control is my prone, and then it's basically it. Everything else is kind of default. Just make sure you're leaning with your mouse buttons, and then your gadget is Q and your melee is E. So it's kind of weird, but I mean, it's all preference. Accessibility for optic colors. Yeah, I like the light green with 100 opacity. I'm kind of blind, so I mean, I'm blind and old, so it makes me see better. At least, now that's what I think, could be placebo, but it's all preference. Everything default and then opacity 100. I tried 50 or lower, but I mean, can't really see. So up to you really. And just make sure you're applying all your settings. Thanks for watching my fresh install and see you guys at the major.
This is the Blast R6 Major in Copenhagen. Are we ready, Copenhagen? 24 teams from all around the world made the trip here to Denmark.
Okamesh is straight on inside, he finds one, looking for a second. Okamesh is just eating him up for lunch. Gomez, as he plays behind one of the remaining Kiva barricades, to be a big nitro here, and it's massive!
Trying to get ahead of it, spots it moving down the stairs, and there it goes for VP. The free go for VP!
Everything falls to Sploit, down in the 1v2 here. They're both focused on him, no matter!
We are now down to our Elite 8.
Surely not resets! He's making the 1v4 look so winnable! There's no way! Resets to ace to 1v4! Esk is trapped in a corner.
The next can collect one, a second, a third!
Oh, he's just insane!
Something feels a little bit different today. It's Championship Sunday! 24 teams made the trip, 2 remain.
The defense, there comes 1 kill and 2. It looks like there's one left standing, it's Bolts against his old team. It could not be any more bittersweet.
Are they going to be able to close this out here and now?
I'm known a lot for like speaking my mouth. We always shout at the enemy team, try and make people feel awkward. It's pretty evil when you think about it. Every team at this event fear us.
Tactics of their own to get into other people's heads, saying that they fear them, making people know that they're still strong and ready to win another event.
I try not to hold on to revenge too much the past. If we were to play them again, it would just be like just that urge of competitiveness to beat them.
Definitely don't fear any teams, and I really don't see why G2 would be any different.
Don't we rightfully have an ego? You're coming into the most achieved team that this game has ever seen. Yeah, you should have an ego.
You gotta respect your opponents. Everyone up here is really good. I'm definitely not gonna let that change the way I'm thinking and the way I'm playing.
I'm trying to get people to have a good time, keep energy up, because in the end, energy carries everything into winning.
This is my first international event, and it's my first time being outside of Australia, purely because of Siege.
It's going to be a lot of mental work and focus put into keep on pushing forward.
We know our potential, we know what we are capable of. We have no doubts that we can win again. We just have to prove to everyone else.
It's more about bringing in the right culture than it is me telling them how to play the game. I don't tell them what to do in that way because they know it better than I do.
I've been working on myself, I've been working on my mental every day. Win or lose, we're still going to be there, we're still going to play for fun.
The opponents could definitely take the title from us, like without a doubt in my mind. So I would probably be more worried if I wasn't nervous.
The past is the past, but in the moment you have everything you need to do to be better.
Yes, G2 have had a win. They have also had a loss.
Of course, I think G2 is the best team in the world. And now it's up to us to defend that, to prove everyone that we're right.
When I'm in a tournament, I don't care about the nationality of the enemies. I play every game like it's the same game.
Good luck, guys. There's a lot of up and downs, but with this new MAD roster, I believe we can create something.
Life is just it's a constant growth. It's mostly just kind of knowing yourself and not being afraid to just pick on yourself and get better.
There's nothing better than seeing your top players pop off and your top players perform. That's where the magic really happens.
I think that M8 is one of those teams that we will really struggle against because they understand things the same way we do and they have equally as talented players.
We don't really have a rival. The only rival is ourselves, so as long as we get over that, there's no one in our way.
It's time to make history! One behind a solid wall, the pings, they're all in his favor, there's a C4, but Souls does not care!
One kill away, and it's Volks to die! A new generation pick up where legends left off!
Salve rapaziada, aqui é o Herds da W7M, eu tô aqui para mostrar para vocês as minhas configs dentro do game. Começando aqui no geral aqui rapaziada, a única coisa que eu mudo é o drone depois da preparação, que eu deixo no manual. Isso é bom porque quando você precisar olhar um drone pro teu companheiro ou algo do tipo, vai estar bem fácil ali, é só você continuar olhando, não precisa apertar um botão que pode dar algum timezinho. Então é bem tranquilo. Aqui no HUD eu uso quase tudo no normal, mas a única coisa que eu mudo aqui é a bússola, que eu não uso. Eu gosto de deixar a tela um pouquinho mais clean. E a única coisa que eu não uso aqui também é a vida. Eu gosto de não usar a vida porque aí você não vê quando você está com pouca vida e isso influencia na sua tomada de decisão dentro do jogo. Então é muito melhor pra mim, isso é mais pessoal, não ter a vida, sabe? Acho que deixa o psicológico mais preparado. Aqui no áudio, o volume vai depender do seu fone, mas aqui a música eu deixo no off. O diálogo eu deixo um pouquinho, acho que às vezes é bom ouvir assim, tipo... Não sei, mano, tipo, geralmente ninguém usa, mas eu uso aqui um pouquinho de diálogo. E o modo de som é o Night Mode aqui, porque é muito melhor para você escutar passos e coisas que são mais importantes dentro do jogo, que, por exemplo, o barulho de tiro ou outras coisas. Aqui no display, obviamente você vai usar o maior hertz aí que seu monitor puder. A proporção 4x3 e o FOV 84. O resto aqui não mudo nada. Eu uso o padrão. Gráficos, aqui também tipo, é algo mais pessoal. Eu particularmente uso tudo no low. Nas partidas, às vezes eu coloco um pouco de shadow. Eu coloco aqui o contraste no médio. Bom, aqui na Sense também é algo mais pessoal, mas o meu aqui eu uso 12-12 de vertical horizontal. Então é 21, 41, 42, 42. Basicamente você só vai usar aqui as três primeiras, que é o 1x, 1,5 e 2x. Então é 21, 41, 42. De resto aqui também eu uso no padrão aqui, claro, tem seus controles ali, tipo, acho que o que eu mais uso de diferente aqui é que eu agacho no espaço. Geralmente o pessoal que vem de console aí costuma usar os botões mais diferentes. E na acessibilidade aqui eu uso a minha cor de mira verde com 100% de opacidade e o tremor de tela aqui que eu deixo no off, que é muito melhor quando cair uma granada ou estourar uma breach do teu lado, tua tela não vai tremer. Salve rapaziada, esse foi aqui um videozinho mostrando as minhas configs. Obrigado por assistir, acompanhem o Major e tamo junto.
I had to sacrifice a lot in my life to be where I am right now.
Everyone shares the same ideology or mindset.
G2 is the best team in the world, period.
The mentality when we just like focus our minds to win is just maybe the most important thing.
What's most important is the journey that we go on, and we go on that together.
The feeling of belonging is extremely important. I do think that I feel that the most.
Having the crowd is really, really amazing. When you do this and the crowd is like screaming because you just like put your hands up.
You always have the crowd on your side because like we're the biggest team in the world.
When you experience the adrenaline to play in tournaments, to win tournaments, you can't live without that anymore.
I'm a guy who likes video games. But other than that, I don't have that much to define myself. I'm trying to find that. That's my next step in life. Find myself.
Hi, I'm Joshua Mills, and this is Siege Intels. Shields have the power fantasy to transform you into a bulwark of defense for your teammates throughout the round. They can also help you take map control, hold angles, keep your opponent's attention, all while opening up windows of opportunity for your teammates to make that perfect execution. The current systems of our Shield gameplay do not embody the player fantasy that we're trying to achieve. That's why we're reworking those systems and resetting the foundation of what it is to be a Shield operator and who can be one. It is and has been a long process. We want to change their use, but without breaking the current state of the game. And this is why we've decided to move this feature to a later date. But you can help refine this change in a special test server next season. More information will be shared at the reveal panel. Tune in.
Welcome back. We are about to get into game proper for this time, for real, I promise. FaZe, NIP, Skyscraper, score stands at 5-2 to FaZe. Now, just so you're aware, it is going in at 5-2. You did see the game at 4-2. We are going in at 5-2 due to improper conduct from NIP ahead of the rehost that we had. So, in we go then, Tim. We're going to get things back underway and see how things play out from here.
This is it. It's one of those you've just got to, I think now as players, just get back in, get involved, and just, you know, crack on with what's ahead of you. So it's going to be, I think we're looking at FaZe on the defence. Just to remind everybody, it was a 4-2 half with FaZe on the attack. FaZe were, to be honest, looking pretty good. Cyber's having a fantastic game so far. They're going to head on to the defence. It's going to be down in bathroom and bedroom, I think.
Discovered the location of a bomb.
Yes, it is. We're down on the bottom floor. And NIP, I mean, FaZe were pretty aggressive on the attack. There were 2 rounds that they won by Cyber just kind of walking in and killing everybody. So I feel like maybe NIP, you know, bring a little bit of that back in reverse, you know, get themselves in the mix, get in there and find some kills and really send a message to FaZe, because, you know, we've seen over the years that NIP can struggle with time issues and leaving things to the end of the round. And I feel like that's where FaZe are going to hurt them. If they get into that final sort of 30 seconds and still have work to do, and still having to push on, you know, into sight and things like that, that's when FaZe are going to hit them on the flanks and make life difficult for them.
Absolutely. I mean, this one's a fun one because, as we speak about every time we come to these ground floor sites, when there's a lot of soft flooring above them, vertical play becomes the name of the game, and that is exactly why you have the defenders setting up on the upstairs. And the attackers, no doubt, starting things out up on this second floor and looking to assault their way in. Trying to keep those defenders busy, at the very least force them away back down to sites so they can take over the top floor themselves and make use of those verticals to their own means, namely getting the diffuser down, Tim.
I talk about NIP getting aggressive. Look at Cyber, he's right here, ready for the run out. He's absolutely itching for it, just standing on the threshold at the minute, taking the peek around. He better not, because the man's watching him from the upside down. Repel! I warned you, Cyber! Wizard, he's going to take him down. Beautiful play from NIP to kick things off.
Good start, because Cyber's been the man that's been absolutely on fire. Prior to the rehost that we just had come on through, he was over double digits in kills, had got himself a 4K in one round, walked to 3K in another. Not quite single-handedly, but had done a large part in FaZe's success to date after that 4-2.5. So to start things off this way, getting him off the board is probably the best thing really that NIP could have hoped for.
Certainly is. Psycho's going to be holding a very tight angle in there. Needs to be careful though, just expose himself a little bit as he turns around. Pre-placed Nitro. KDS is just maybe waiting for a little bit of info once they've tried to push into office upstairs. As soon as they get through that breach, they could be in mortal danger. Handy is going to take out Pino to level things up at 4 versus 4. Muzi very aware of a potential run out. I don't think it's the solace of Handy who's on that doorway. I'm not sure he's going to be looking to get quite so aggressive. Now he's got his kill. It's sort of issues him forward. Vita King's going to be the one to find it on the long range. KDS it is to actually finish things with the Nitro. Handy onto Wizard, and it's all falling apart for NIP in 5 or 10 seconds. Man was down, Psycho picked up, FaZe take themselves another, and that's going to be 6-2.
No Cyber, no problem. Other 4 players can step up when they need to as well. And made that round really look pretty easy, even despite losing again the star fragger of the game so far. Round 9 we move into, it is match point to FaZe. It's a very tall hill for NIP to climb. It's 6-2. That's a lot of glasses, Tim. Looks like you when you take your glasses off and just stand there with like them littered around.
To be fair, I've usually got my sunglasses, my normal glasses. Because the funny thing is, it's probably not that funny.
It's not funny, but go on.
My sunglasses are prescription sunglasses. And the thing with sunglasses is, I don't know, for anybody who's ever worn glasses, when you're wearing normal glasses, you're like really aware that you've got glasses on. The lenses are sort of small, you can see around the sides of them and stuff. You're really aware of them. For sunglasses, generally, they tend to be a bit bigger. And mine completely cover all my vision and darken it out. So you sort of forget that you're wearing them. You forget that you've got sunglasses on. It's just that things are a bit darker.
Why have the lights gone out?
Exactly.
Why is the sun not so strong anymore?
It's not that I like come inside and forget I've got them on or anything. What happens is I forget that I can't see properly. So I'm just like living my life in my sunglasses, enjoying my day, and then 2 hours later I take my glasses off. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't read that sign anymore. I forgot that I'm half blind, and I just completely forget because the prescription. Yeah, sunglasses that are prescription are life changing.
I feel like you've really resonated with the hearts of some people in production there, because you had someone who's come down the line saying, "I love it, please keep it up." They're just like, please, they got a tear rolling down their cheek, just like, this speaks to me so deeply.
It's true. It's true. If you wear glasses, you know exactly what I mean. If you've got sunglasses on, it's easy to forget the prescription, and then you get a little bit of disappointment when you take them off and you realise you can't see.
Well, life stories with Tim. On we march then into this next.
Shall we watch some Siege?
Do we watch some Siege?
Let me take my sunglasses off. I can't see it anymore.
You got your glasses on, you can see fine. That's because you're half blind, Tim.
That's a different problem.
Geisha has been opened up here, NIP getting started in the round. Handy's holding off onto red stairs, just keep an eye on Geisha with the small little rotation he's got through, more for visibility and taking a few pot shots than anything else. However, the Glaz and the Ossa, really the two driving forces on this attacking lineup here. And already Cons is in, Window is inside, smokes are out. Look at it, it's absolute chaos inside of Karaoke. Not really the kind of party anyone imagined, and certainly not the one that FaZe intended either. NIP have the diffuser down, 2 kills have come on through, but now they've got to try and get this diffuse off. A 4 versus 2. There's still one more out on the window. It is Psycho. If they get rid of Muzi, it's all they've got to worry about. But Tim, you don't just get rid of Muzi. He gets at least one. There's going to have to be a double jump out here, Tim, to make this work.
Exactly that. Muzi didn't just bank on there being a second, and Psycho is ready. He's played this game for long enough. He knows exactly where the pressure's going to come from. 14 seconds. They're going to have to start on this diffuser before long, and it's going to be an easy job for Psycho. Honestly, I can't see them doing anything about this.
Look up! He had so long outside that building and still couldn't find his man. Will get killed off, but not enough time. Handy finds a 3K, but NIP keep themselves in this for at least one more round.
Well played from NIP. I like the choice. They saw the opportunity, and sometimes you just got to take it. You can get in there and get the diffuser down, especially when you've got an Ossa on side as well. Yeah, we can get the Talon shield down. We can get the job done. There was only really one way that plant was going to be stopped, and that was with a Nitro from below. And they just weren't in position, FaZe, to do that. So, well played, NIP.
You know what, Tim? I actually owe an apology thinking about it. Do you? About 2 years ago, I picked up glasses, didn't I?
I think you owe me a few, to be honest. You know, I don't think you should start picking at that particular thread.
Turn a mountain into a molehill into a mountain with there. But no, like when I first got glasses, actually, and I was like really excited about it. Got a couple of pairs, like look really cool. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm wearing these now because at distance I can't see things as well. Like it looks blurry. When I put them on and look outside my front window and look at trees, I'm like, oh, the trees are in HD now. Is how I described it best. But I was really into it. I got like glasses cleaner and a little cloth. And I
remember this conversation.
I can't take it. And you're like, oh, you won't do that for long. You'll use your t-shirt.
You'll be using your t-shirt in about a week.
I was like, no, the spray's really good. The t-shirt's not as good. I'll carry the spray everywhere. And you're like, Des, you won't. I'm like, no, Tim, I will. Because me being stubborn, me was like, no, screw you, Tim. You're not going to tell me I'm going to live my life.
Where's that spray, Des?
It's not here, Tim.
How's your t-shirt doing, Des?
It's definitely been used a lot for cleaning them glasses, Tim.
I thought it might.
Brilliant. So yeah, that's the one apology I think you get from me this whole event.
Excellent. A whole event, a whole life, whatever.
You get an apology per major.
Excellent. Is that it? I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to start stacking them up.
Oh, for God's sake. All right, we'll roll it.
We'll make me some coupons.
We can do one per round if you want, as long as NIP keep a comeback going. You get more and more apologies. So it becomes a love letter to Tim Lever after this game's done. Right, Psycho working his way in towards Terrace. At least as a starting point. That Amaro is on side once again, so whether or not NIP are trying to make a similar play just elsewhere is a different question. Not really the kind of site to make that kind of play, but doesn't mean you can't spring in and make some magic happen elsewhere around the map. Although, as I've remarked before, sometimes it's just nice to bring the IQ when you need flashes on side to burn through magnets or ADSs, and you want a decent gun. Amaru, still generally a pretty good pick for that.
Was it going to send the drone in? But more importantly than a drone going in or a Frostmark getting spotted out is Cyber picking up Muzi for a kill. 4 versus 4 though, as Psycho manages to get the trade. Psycho going big over the last couple of rounds. That's what NIP need at this point, is somebody to really step up and start leading from the front. Handy KDS are going to make that more difficult though, as Psycho and Cons go down. That's another. It looks like FaZe are on the way to their second win here. They beat Dark Zero last night, and they've got NIP on the ropes, raining body shots in, and it just needs that one knockout blow as Wizard comes in. They will find it, and FaZe will lock it down, and they go 2-0 here in the Swiss format at the Atlanta Major.
Reho's put to one side. That was just overall dominant game by FaZe. That first half really got things rolling, and those last couple of rounds that they've won as well, doing so in pretty dominant fashion overall. NIP not really getting too into that game, I thought. Sure, a couple of rounds we saw them stepping up and shining at points, but never quite to the standard that we saw coming out of the other side. Cyber and Handy especially. Since the rehost, Handy picked up 7 kills, which is ludicrous, but really prior to that, it was Cyber again, dragging them through with multi-kill after multi-kill.
Yeah, it was. I think anybody looking at this FaZe team are going to be a little bit concerned about playing them, you know, further down the line. They are becoming that team that another one of them, I put them up there with G2, where they just seem to be going strength to strength. They seem to have that bit extra. You know, they are sort of meeting these challengers with a bit to spare at the minute of FaZe.
Well, all I'm going to say is I'm really grateful that NIP FaZe closed things out there, so I didn't have to do any more apologies to you, Tim. But the desk ready for us here, so let's throw it back over there. Over to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Dev and Dez and Ace. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to. I literally talked to Dev Marta, and I was like, I'm like, oh, Dev, Dez. Anyway, moving on. Fearsome FaZe now 2-0. Jesse, you predicted 3-0 for them, right?
I did, and it's looking pretty good for FaZe. Obviously, tomorrow will be their toughest opponent, at least in theory, because they'll be facing another 2-0 team. But FaZe played great today. You know, really strong attacks coming through on the top floor of Skyscraper. They were really good at pushing through, winning those swings, even though the utility was stacked against them, right? And NIP do a great job of that. They love stacking up on utility. There were F-Not mines, there were beepers, there were shields. There was so much that they had to go through. But FaZe did an excellent job of going patient, never jumping in and, you know, losing bodies for nothing, waiting for that opportunity, grabbing the pick, and then using that to turn it into an execute. I think FaZe Clan played extremely well, especially on those attacks, and they played a great game today.
And I think whenever you see a team and they are so comfortable attacking Skyscraper, you know that you're dealing with a top team. It's a map where it really does differentiate the top teams from just the good teams. And FaZe been just so comfortable on the attack there, getting that 4-2 split. And then you're always going to be able to kick on from there. And FaZe, you know, it's a Skyscraper. I did the pregame clip about FaZe and about how they can read their opponent and pivot. Skyscraper's a map for that particularly. You know, if you're attacking Karaoke T, for example, you can take control of Office, but then you've got to pivot to Black or to Geisha, and the converse way around if you're attacking onto Office. And that's the type of thing that FaZe is excellent at.
Yeah, and Cyber, undoubtedly MVP of this matchup, obviously played so well. Critical player going through on those pushes. We saw the 4K walking up Black Stairs. We were hoping for the ace. Didn't quite get it, unfortunately, but still, he played insane today.
And we're going to have some highlights of Cyber coming up in a little bit, and we can deep dive some more into that. I do want to talk about them as a collective, though. They just seem so coordinated, so cohesive, Fresh.
Yeah, and it's just one of their greatest strengths. And if you look at any great team, they're always a unit. They've got the unit, they've got the fundamentals on lock, and then they've got the explosive individual players like Cyber on top of that to kick on. And I think that's what we're dealing with, FaZe. There's a reason that they're the BR6 champions, you know, in terms of Brazil. There's a reason that they're coming in here and they're looking very hot going into the, you know, the winners match tomorrow to compete for main stage.
I think that it's interesting. We actually are pulling up the Cyber clips right now.
Yeah.
All eyes are on Cyber. He's just such a dominant player when it comes to Siege.
He was the MVP when they won the Jönköping Major, right? He was so good. Gävle. So many cities in Sweden, man.
We've been to Sweden loads.
Listen, this Cyber is such a great player. This is his 4K. You know, Pino on the Clash, putting the shield down at that point. You're playing top Black Stairs. I get what he's thinking, right? His bottom Black Stairs player just fell. He knew that push was coming from Cyber, but unfortunately, he just didn't quite have the time to react to that. And I think the speed of these plays from Cyber, how fast he's able to get in and find those picks, convert it into another, keep on pushing, really is one of the things that sets him apart from other great players in the world. He's an extremely scary player to go up against, and he performed today for FaZe.
All right, and, you know, FaZe just off to a great start here. I do want to look ahead a little bit. So defeating Dark Zero, it was a tight battle. They pushed through. Now they've defeated their regional rival. How are we feeling?
I think we're feeling very good.
Yes.
Yeah, even the close game that we saw.
I think the big thing is that they were unproven, I think, to so many of us. When I was talking to you all about predictions, everyone was a little bit shaky about it.
They kind of fly under the radar. I think that's probably because of the existence of W7M, right?
Sure,
in terms of the predictions for the tournament. But you've got to... You know, you've got to take into account that they are the Brazil champions, but also the fact that they've gone up against two quality teams. Dark Zero are a quality outfit. NIP are a quality outfit as well. When I don't want to be disrespectful here, but you're not going up against a big underdog there. That's two teams that you're expecting a very close game, and FaZe have just come through those games, sailed through them, and are looking very good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that amazing analysis as always, but some incredible matchups still ahead, so thanks for sticking with us, folks. We'll be back in just a little bit.